Hi, this is Dallin Stringham in Sales Account Management, and I am doing the Communicating Across Cultures assignment. And I want to be honest, this assignment was a little late notice, just learning about it last night, and I wasn't able to get someone who was international for the conversation like this. So what I want to do is share an experience or some experiences I had for my mission about some kind of funny cultural differences and difficulties that I had to get over and kind of have that learning curve. So just jumping into things, I served my mission in Rome, Italy. It was the southern half of the country, and the Italian culture is very, very different than in the United States. And I adjusted pretty fast. However, I quickly realized that there were certain areas overall that I was like, whoa, this is very different. And one of the biggest ones was around food, funny enough. And so typically when you have dinner with Italians, you really have to pace yourself with the food, because anytime that you start eating a bunch, they'll be like, oh my gosh, they love it. And so they'll just pile food on your plate. And me, being a young missionary who was very hungry and having some of the best food in the world, I would just start to scarf down food because I was really hungry. The only trick is that I didn't realize that there's like multiple courses, typically like 4 to 6 courses in a meal. And so I would get super full super fast. So I would either start like not be able to finish the original course because they kept piling more on, or I would start to lag in the later courses. The thing is though, if you don't eat all their food, they will totally get offended at you and be like, why is this person, because the food is like at the heart of their society and culture, and so they'll be like, why isn't this person eating my food, like, oh my gosh. And they will genuinely look sad, which is a really big surprise to me, because I'm like, whoa, like back in the States we're just like, oh, like, okay, it's just food kind of thing, but over there it's completely different. So that was really interesting, because I either ended up with a disappointed person because they didn't eat all the food, or I would have a massive stomach ache that made me want to double over in pain after the meal because I ate so much food. And so I had a few times where like people would generally like just be kind of sad afterwards, because they felt like in a way I had offended them because I didn't like their cooking, which is like the soul of their society. And it definitely did affect the rest of the conversation and some of the lessons that we had with people, and they would be like, why is this, like, oh my gosh. And you can kind of see their demeanor drop a little bit. And on the other end, there were some times that I ate a lot of their food and they were so happy and so excited, and it really changed the outlook. And so finally I had to talk to my companion. I was like, okay, this is what I'm running into, and I don't feel like I can have it both ways, either giant stomach ache or I am offending them. What can I do? And he's like, okay, so obviously we can't really change like how they view us. So the best way to do it is to eat slowly and like eat to the point where they are the one that decides to move to the next course. And when they decide if they move to the next course, they don't actually care how much you've eaten or not at that point, because you've been socializing and conversing, and they feel like it's the appropriate time. And when you do that, it helps you, like, you still get some really delicious food, and sometimes they'll give you a refill still, but they're not going to overwhelm you or overload you. And so I practiced that, and the results were actually really good, because when they were the ones who decided when the meal was over, instead of just letting me just keep fill up plate after plate, or making me eat plate after plate, it made a huge difference. And I was like, okay, like this is a lot better. And so I actually improved my relationship through food, funny enough, on my mission, because they felt like, oh, this person really likes my food, and the only reason they're not eating it all is because I'm actually stopping the meal because I want to get on to the next thing. And that made a huge difference, honestly. And I was able to have lots of good food still, not overexert myself and murder my stomach by eating so much food, but also not offend people by making them think like, oh, I just don't like your food. And so over time I saw relationships improve, and a lot of like people, their demeanor changed, and they, throughout the rest of the conversations with members or investigators, they were actually really excited how much I love their food, and we kind of tied that into conversations later on. And it was always a good segue into a lesson once you're full and in that nice zone. But it was a really interesting experience seeing what's important to other people and what they really value, and then also like how you can kind of adapt to that, because when you show that initiative or that you care about their culture and you're willing to try your best to follow their customs, like it's a huge gesture to them. And I think in the future, like I'm still trying to work on this, because I work with a lot of people in my jewelry store from all over the world, and students getting engaged, and sometimes it's trying to understand their customs so they can have the best experience that they can have. But I really think that the most important thing is like, what is the most important thing to this person? How can I learn that, and how can I work with them to do my best to accommodate that and support them? But amazing experiences, really cool opportunities, and thanks so much. See you in the next video.